With your sense the first few days here on ice and just what you're seeing and feeling personally?
Yeah, it's been good. I think personally, it's been good. I think just trying to push the pace and feel good myself. Obviously, these first three practices have been high pace, high grind level, and I think that's kind of the point of it is to get us back feeling good and get that execution and get that pace up, and it's been good so far.
There's been a lot of talk about that competition side of it. How does that make you better as a player going through the camp, but obviously just earning, whatever ice time and opportunity you're going to get?
Yeah, for sure. It's huge for guys to come in, no matter what situation you're in. Is you're battling for a spot and an opportunity, and there's like Husk has said, like Connie said, there's lots of opportunity there. So I think just going out there and trying to grab that, and obviously sometimes in days like this, it's not as much making skills plays or something like that, but it's just grinding and that mental side of thing to work as hard as you can and get through the drills and be smart and still make plays at the same time. So I think that's huge, just to keep going and like I said, grind through.
Maybe you touched on it, but is there something personally that you look for 3 days in, 4 days in, 5 days in, where you're gauging yourself and where you want to be conditioning, maybe touches, or is there something specific that you look for that says, I'm getting ready?
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely the biggest one would be the conditioning fact, knowing that you're out there and you can still go at a high level, rep after rep after rep, and you can still get it going and you're not kind of losing it, and you still have that ability to make plays. Obviously, it's hard sometimes when we're keeping the pace that high and you want to keep that execution at the same level. So I think it's those two things combined, is the pace and execution, that really lets you know, hey, you're back into things and you're doing good and keep pushing kind of thing.
You had a good season last year, and we talked about this off camera, but just the idea of what it's going to take another step here in your second full season.
Yeah, I think it's like we talked about. You had a good season, but what can you do to not just be good is to be great. So I think just to come in every day and take advantage of those little details, learn things, and grow as a person, grow as a player, and obviously translate that from off the ice, on the ice, and be ready to be a difference maker day in, day out.
So now you're well known, right? Like the league knows you and you know the league a little bit more. Things get a little harder for sure in your second year. So do you have to be mindful of that?
For sure, I think you really gotta be very mindful. You gotta have a good head on your shoulders when it comes to those things. It's having that confidence, having that swagger, but at the same time not pushing yourself too hard mentally. You want to have goals set for yourself, but you don't want to go home every night and beat yourself up over it. It's things I've talked about. You still want to play that free flowing game and be smart about it and know there's going to be mistakes and things are going to happen. Not every night's going to be perfect, but I think it starts in camp with like we talked about, that pace and execution that makes a big difference when you're heading into games here.
You mentioned going from good to great. So what do you have to do to go from good to great?
Yeah, I think it's those two things I just mentioned. It's being consistent day in, day out, and really pushing that pace and execution. You can't really go in and you see the best players around the league. They don't take nights off. Obviously, not every night's perfect, like I said, and you're going to have off nights, but those off nights still got to be looking good and executing and maybe dumbing down the game, but still being an effective player. So I think those things for me is going to be huge, and then holding on to that confidence and holding on to that ability that know that I can play at this level and be good at this level.
Connor, you talked about conditioning, but like at the end of last year, that was probably the most you've ever played at certainly the highest level you've ever played. So did you find yourself sort of really realizing this war of attrition and conditioning and realizing just the rigors of it all? Were you gassed at the end of it?
I wouldn't say I was gassed, but I think it's definitely something you keep in the back of your mind all summer, is just say, hey, get on the bike one extra time or do this, do that. I think those little things just add up and allow you to feel better, especially when you're coming into camp and you're grinding through those drills, drill after drill with not much rest, and just the better shape you're in, the better overall you're going to feel and the better overall you're going to play. So I think just those little things in the back of your mind kind of all summer.
What's the excitement level, anticipation to test out that line in a preseason game?
Yeah, no, it's obviously really exciting if that comes to fruition, and if I get to play with those two guys. Obviously, two guys who have been doing it for a long time and know what it takes. Kind of like I said, what I mentioned day in, day out, how you have to have those little details within your game. Is those two guys are a perfect example of it. So to even just be on their line for the first 3 days of camp and watching and learning and being alongside them has been huge. And like I think I talked about it maybe with Les off camera. Those are two guys who've been kind of perfecting that two-way game for combined 20 years together. So it's always nice to kind of see what they do on and off the ice.
In that respect, like, how do you set your mindset a year ago you were kind of clearly one of the guys who might, just based on lines, be on the outside looking in when camp ended, and now you're playing beside the captain, you've established yourself. So how do you set your mindset to kind of keep that hunger?
Yeah, I think you can't read too much into it a whole lot, but you got to really be yourself. I think you can't really shy away from what got you here. It doesn't matter who you're playing with. I think Husk sees why I'm here, same with Connie and some of the coaches. They want me to play my game. They want me to do what makes me successful, and that's keep my feet moving and make plays and have those little details locked in. So if I focus on those things, I know that playing with those two guys, it's going to be a simple game, and know that I'll gel within them.
They've always had a history of making whoever's on that other side of the wing, a better player. Do you see, those traits already? I mean, obviously you're the song, but just as early practice, those things that make them so good.
Yeah, 100%. You've seen the guys who have played at them, and obviously you can just look back at a few years with Mango playing with them for so long and how successful he was. And I think you try and carry that through, and obviously they're going to be there for you. They're always going to be supporting you throughout the ice, and in their game, they're just so detail-oriented that they're usually always in the right spot. So I think that always helps out. But like I said to Wes, at the end of the day, it's about playing your game and doing the things that make you successful, and I think that's what those two guys do so well, is they play their game so well and it connects. So I think just sticking to those little things and staying confident and excited and having fun.